with tents it private soldier on. Revolution made connections for. And nothing their tragic story with a journalist story. No wonder they beautiful with scorn. Since the day they born, some call them rebels without a cause. These social victims of unjust law. But yet they christen the heroes. Many heads desperado. Forever knocking on heaven door. Still on music shut and the silence. I'm on it to conquer the violence. Big men run when cops approach, fighting for scraps with the cockroach. The young talk, they're tough protected. Almost every young girl expected. Go tomorrow, better tomorrow. And the other shining, so crying, 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 yeah, crying, crying, yeah. Social amenities don't heaven to. Opportunities, well, they're always closed. Can't get what one's in white collar. If I can't stretch my dollar. Later for me crack or smoke me pipe. Santa Claus to take from crime. Life does great dignity and pride. Till there's only bitterness left inside. And every day is a hustle. Arguments are settled with muscle. Till you're 6 feet deep by 3 feet wide. Children, should life keep on drifting? Something they're smoking or sniffing. Maybe they're trying to forget this life of misery and regret. No one to come to their rescue except Cape Punton and Buju. So they boom box since the Lego. The drum and voices get to the crying. It's still crying. They're crying and they're crying. Crying and they're crying. Yeah, yeah. Crying. 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 Voices from the ghetto. They rub him and they shoot up me body. I can't take no more. I pray for we say. trust? Tell me who to save. Is they undertakers? Dig new grave. Wailing and bowling is the new band launching. New sizes of boxes they measuring. Nearly all the whole day hearing and mourning. Like for a movie, it should be go down so it. Sweetie and tea. Land of the milk and honey.
Big shout out to WPC Nadia Mohammed from the Mayaro Police Station. Good evening, WPC Nadia Mohammed. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Peace and harmony, my red, white, and black country. Oh, 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 oh. I'm pleading with you. I'm pleading with you, Lord. Bring back the nations. Oh, oh. Like his blood and crime take over. The rich and poor feeling the pressure. People die like flies, yet we fight.
What will it take for us to unite?
Look how we children them going astray, and they hold on to faith.
So all who hear my message and playing dumb, many go pay time to come.
All the innocent lives they're taking.
The minds and the souls they're corrupting.
Everything has a price to pay.
On a great, great judgment day.
Sweetie and tea, land of the milk and honey. Sweet family, the way that it used to be. Like long ago, what was mine was yours. Peace and harmony, my red, white, and black country.
Bring it back, I say.
Take God and lift up this island. I place my situation in your hand. You can create and you can destroy. Please turn our sorrows into joy. Forgive us, Father, when we have sinned. Turn back the sorrow, Lord, and plead it. Change the hearts of the wicked ones. Guide and protect all your daughters and sons. Through the perilous times, I know with you and God, blessings will flow. TNT will again arise. Through the sweet, sweet paradise. Sweet TNT, land of the milk and honey. Sweet family, the way that it used to be, Lord. Like long ago, what was mine was yours too. Peace and harmony, my red, white, and black country. Bring it back, I say. Bring it back, I say. Bring it back, I say. When it take a village to grow a child, and all we do was fight. Bring the country back, I say. When we eat from the same pot, we drink from the same cup. My red, white, and black country. When we look out for each other, we will all brothers keeper. My red, white, and black country. Sweet family. My red, white, and black country.
We jumped the gun there. We will close with that rhythm. So good evening, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to tonight's sermon. When we pass the collection basket tonight, we will ask you to dig deep and put from your heart and your soul and to know and to think and to become one with us tonight as we bring ourselves before all the gods in heaven and pray. Father, fathers, mothers, all who hold holy power, look down on the 1.4 million suffering souls in Trinidad and Tobago and bless us. Fathers and mothers in heaven, we, the good people of Trinidad and Tobago, are suffering. The demons have been unleashed among us. They wear shirt and tie and jacket. They carry guns, they carry bombs, they carry pens and contracts. Some hold low station, some hold high office. But they work in a holy accord to create misery in the rank and file of my beautiful country. Father in heaven, if there is any way, and I am afraid to pray, because the Sodom and Gomorrah that Trinidad and Tobago has become, I am afraid to pray for you to take action. Because the last time the world was as miserable and as disgusting and as heartless and as cruel as Trinidad and Tobago is, you drowned it once by water and you burnt it down another time by fire. I am afraid for my country. I am afraid for my country. Father in heaven, I am afraid for my country. I am hearing rumblings. The people are not happy. I am worried for my country. My red, white, and black country. I am worried for my country, where I am not black enough, I am not Indian enough, I am not Syrian enough, I am not Chinese enough, I am not rich enough, and I am not poor enough. I worry for a country where I fit nowhere, because I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I am not one of those politicians that will break bread with the criminals in the contract mafia and come back and lie to the population and pretend to give a damn. I'm not one of those union leaders that will collect union dues from members and cut their throats with blades paid for by the very people I am supposed to represent them against. I'm not one of those. I worry for my nation, but I worry for me. Where do I fit in? Every now and then, on one of the threads, somebody who cannot debate me intellectually will attack me personally. And they're not going to attack me personally for things that I could defend. Phillip, your mouth too hot, you just cuss too much, you just come across angry, you're too sexy. Nothing that I could argue and defend. You say, yeah, 1%. I have never been a 1%. And the greatest pride I have, even if I have to leave my country, is that I have been rejected by those people who consider themselves 1%. And as I get more and more successful in life, and as they court me more and more, I reject their advances more and more. And I have a political comrade, a political colleague, who tells me I fight everybody. But I don't fight everybody. I fight the criminals in my country. My political comrade, my colleague, he tells me, you're going to need these people. They have workers, and those workers vote how their boss vote. And if that is true, then there is no saving this country. If that's at all true, There's no saving this country. If I really have to go and get bread and go and walk around among black people and fool them and say, look at bread, I care. In a country where the last election was paid for, I learned today that people in the East-West corridor, masses of people, when the government couldn't spend the money on media and they couldn't spend it on massive rallies, when the political parties couldn't spend the drug money and the contract mafia in political speculation, investment money, 10 million here, 10 million there, whoever win, give me back 50 million. When they couldn't spend that in rallies and massive meetings because of COVID-19, they gave people $1,200 and $1,500 for their vote. And to a lot of those people, $1,200, $1,500 at one time felt like the hand of God touched you. Not knowing that $1,500 can't last a year, much less 5 years. And that for that $1,500, you've sold your soul to inflation that cancelled out the benefit of that $1,500 in quick time. They got it back. They control the purse, they control the cash register, they control the value of the money. Government does that. They've taken away your job. You have no job, or the job that you have is barely slavery. I mean, you have no physical chains and shackles, but you can't go nowhere. Every now and then, you will spend some money and get drunk or high because you need to be intoxicated to feel like Trinidad is a place where people could be happy, but it's not. Trinidadians are miserable. You need to be outside there. You know, the alcohol companies sell us the idea that once you're out there drunk and bulling, you're happy. So go and get drunk and bull. And Tribe and the rest of the carnival bands give us all the incentive to come and get drunk and bull, because that's Trinidad and Tobago. Drunken and bulling, and we distracted. So they sell us that. Angostura tell us, take your little girl children outside in the rain so their jerseys could get wet so you could see their nipples. And the mass bands barely cover their pudenda, selling sex as culture. And we buy it, massa, we buy it. Massa, give me more, massa, massa, massa. So we are enslaved to the banks because we can't keep our own money, it is illegal. So you have to put it in the bank so that the bank could take some every month from everybody. And we don't realize how criminal that is, because in this country, legitimate laws are written. We are a nation enslaved by laws. Laws are written to enslave the people. How to herd wild pigs. Many of you read that story before. If you would like to capture wild pigs in the jungle, go and put one single fence and food, and feed them by that fence regularly. And then put another fence on the other side, opposite it, and put more food. And the first time they see that new fence, they'll be disturbed, but they'll see the food, and they'll eat the food, and they'll forget about the second fence. And then you put a third fence connecting the first two. That's disturbing. It's a little more difficult to get to the food, but the food is still there. So they come for the food, and then you put a gate, and then you slam the gate shut. And now you don't need to put no more food, because the pigs are yours. Father in heaven, I pray for my country, a country where religious organizations have overseen the brutalization of children, violent abuse, physical abuse, rape, torture, murder. Father in heaven, is this what you wanted for La Trinity? Is this what you thought about when you created paradise on earth convincingly? Was it? Was this what you thought we would be? I worry for my country. I went to a place tonight called Barry's Frickin' Chicken, BFC, or Pappy's Fried Pepper Chicken. And was it Pappy's Frickin' Chicken? I don't know. Anyways, it's called Pappy's. It used to be in Diego Martin, but they moved to Woodbrook. And it's basically chicken in a lot of pepper, fried. But every now and then, I go for it because, you know, you need a variety. Fried chicken with a lot of pepper. So I walk in the door, and the security guard lets me in and says, I know your face. I said, I know it too, but I've had it for a long time. He said, you remind me of somebody. I said, regularly. So I went and paid my order for my chicken, and then I was standing up waiting for them to call my chicken number when he said, aha, you are Phillip Alexander, guilty as charged. So I want to tell you something. I want to tell you that black people like to suffer. I'm watching a black man, not the first black man, saying to me that the condition of the black man is black man's own doing. And there are many black people who tell me this. I'm watching this guy. He's a security guard. And there's a feature in videos now called scrubbing. You could hold the button and drag it under the video and manipulate the fast forward. So you don't have to watch the whole thing. You could take it to where you want to go. And I was thinking how interesting it would be to scrub, rewind this security guard's life. To go back to the start. He was born, pride of his mother's eyes. Little child full of hope. You ever see how children smile and laugh? Children smile and laugh with their whole body. They put everything into it. They throw back their head, they raise up their arm. They laugh without any thought to anything other than enjoying it. Children close their eyes and laugh because they just trust the promise of the world. And as you scrub them going forward, if you had all the different races in Trinidad and Tobago, one black child, one Indian child, one white child, one Syrian child, if you were scrubbing going forward. Today, let me tell you, don't call me and tell me anything going on. Today, people calling me and telling me protest here, fire there, roadblock here, this going on there. And I just going about my merry way today. Because I thought today have to be a day of the consequences. And let people feel what I've been talking about for years. I don't have to go in the riot when it starts. I don't have to be in it. I've been warning of the coming storm. Anyway, I was thinking if I was scrubbing this child's life, but while I was scrubbing his life, there'd be a white Trinidadian child and an Indo-Trinidadian child and a Syrian Trinidadian child. And if I was scrubbing going forward to milestones in their lives, because this guy is now a security guard in Pappy's Frickin' Chicken. And it's a decent job. He's not a bandit. He's not robbing and raping and killing. He is here collecting his... I don't know what Pappy's paying the security firm that he working for. But I'm willing to bet just about anything. He working for minimum wage minus costs. Cost of the uniform, cost of the baton, cost of the transport. Anything they could take back from them and charge the client for, because security firms live and they have to make profit. But if I was scrubbing the life of this child going forward, what would I see at milestones? What would I see at diaper time? What would I see at food time? Nutrition time? Everybody eating the same? Nutrition is important, and I want you to understand this. What you feed children, the first 3 years of their lives, that development, that physical development, the nutrients that they get, set the platform for their entire life. Research it. All the diseases that they will ever encounter, the strength of their immune system, how bright their eyes are, their brain. The human brain takes about 50% of the energy of everything you eat to run, and as children it takes more, because your brain will never be as powerful as it is in the first 3 years of your life. In the first 3 years of your life, all the neurons are firing, all the synapses are connected. In the first 3 years of your life, you could be anything. You could learn to speak 5 different languages at the same time. You could learn to play musical instruments. In the first 3 years of your life, your body is taking control of you, your musculature, the skeletal framework, and the world, and finding a way to put it together. I was driving the other day, and I was coming down the highway, 4 lanes of the highway, and I was wondering how many people driving on this highway appreciate the mathematical genius that each of them are to calculate the speed, the trajectory, the direction they are going, and everybody else around them to maneuver. If you brought a scientist from 400 years ago and put him to stand up on the beater, he wouldn't be able to calculate all that math. Anyway, let's go back to scrubbing. We're scrubbing forward. It's Trinidad, and I'm not dealing with the world. I know there are Syrian children in Syria that are dead in drains tonight. I know there are Indian children in India that are mind-numbingly poor. Poverty in the ghetto in India is Ethiopia poverty, famine level poor. And I know because my brother sent me information when he went to India to adopt a baby girl, because he tried to adopt a Trinidadian orphan, but it was impossible. Here, orphans and homes are grist for the pedophile mill. We find that out now. We don't want to put these children up for adoption. We want members of parliament, ministers, and big businessmen to bull them in the ass. But that's another story for another time, when we're not in church by Father Jason Gordon to tell us, don't discuss big businessmen, priests, and nuns molesting children because you might be bad talking the country. So we stick up in. Stick up in. We pretend that Father Jason Gordon, as the Archbishop of Trinidad, is too stupid to know, who's too idiotic to know that in his church there are nuns and priests and people working for the church in homes molesting, abusing, and violating the innocent children that Jesus Christ said, suffer them to come unto me. That if you could become like little children, you would understand the kingdom of heaven. But to the Catholic Church, to the homes run by the Catholic Church in Trinidad and Tobago, we violated that out of them. So don't tell them about Christ, and don't tell them about heaven. They want to get through the day, but let's scrub. Let's scrub going forward. Let's scrub. Let's scrub and stay on this point that nutrients, the black child in the ghetto, who end up as a security guard, that black child in the ghetto, the little Syrian child, the little white child, the little Indian child, the little Chinese child, what are they eating first 3 years of their life developmentally? Who has daddy out at work and mommy home reading and teaching and enjoying, preparing, tracing, reading stories to, and who has daddy dead or in jail or on the run, and mommy working 3 jobs, and granny watching you, and granny moaning, oh God, this arthritis, I can't take no more. Granny have 6 of them children in she house. And granny didn't set up for this, but this how it is. And she happy that she girl child have 2 security guard work, and she does bring in some money at the end of the month, so the lights on and the children, they have a meal to eat, so it's not as bad as the neighbors down the road. Whose children are getting mental development, and whose children are sitting down dribbling looking at the wall, listening to what's going on in the ghetto. If this trigger in here, turn it off, you know. If this trigger in here, turn it off. But if you could tap Fitzgerald Hines, because I'd like him to listen to this. I'd like him to hear this story. But I know some of you all get triggered because you don't want to hear the truth. So we'll call it triggering. Can't take it. Too much. 3 years old. Who's in preschool? What kind of preschool you're in? Who is in Auntie Kathy Thompson's school in Americana Drive in Glencoe? Getting every 5 children has an attendant. There's an attendant for every 5 children. Young, middle-class children straight out of school and university that loves children, and working with Auntie Kathy, who has a fantastic reputation, and molding these minds to get them ready to get into St. Andrews or Don Ross, and they're on a fast track for those schools that plugged in. That if you're sitting down in Standard 1 in St. Andrews or Don Ross, chances are you are on a fast track to management or better in Trinidad and Tobago. At the age of 3 years old, that security guard's life, sitting in a state-run preschool, where if he makes it through the day alive, we'll call it a win. If he makes it through the day alive, we'll call it a win. You see, nobody likes to hear me say these things, but there is a disproportionate amount of people racially in different sectors of society. We don't practice equity. Nothing is ever really equal. Here, every creed and race do not find an equal place. You cannot blame St. Andrews and Don Ross for being successful schools. They are driven by a success model. They are highly paid. The people whose children go there pay them a lot of money. Not to mention if you're in Maple Leaf or International, well, that's even more. That's for the quite rich. But those schools, when your children are in there, you expect a certain treatment. For the state-run preschools, where the children are rocking back and forth, looking at the wall, their job is just security guards. Just get the children through the day alive. Whereas in these other schools, they're on a treadmill already, racing with each other and racing with the world, preparing them for a life of success. This security guard is a security guard or worse from 4, and he don't know. He don't know. They have little black children that fortunate to get into St. Mary's College and Fatima. At least when I was there, now they have other alternatives. And playing, I know, I tell you, playing with rich white children and rich Syrian children and rich Indian children, not knowing that their lives already set. There is a ticket in their future and a plane ride, maybe with mommy and daddy, to enter them into a highly paid university where they finish rounding out their education to come back and parachute in at 21 to a senior management position in a major company in Trinidad and Tobago. You wasting your time playing with them when you're supposed to find every minute of every day to beat every book that you could find. You have to identify every scholarship, every shortcut, everything. And somebody will be telling you, listen to me, little poor black child, you don't have anything laid out for you. So you better be studying, because this is not the same experience for you as it is for your other friends who have more in life. You see, we pretend when we see people at 10, 11 SEA. We pretend, you see, you could fail and they could pluck you, send you to America, send you to Canada, send you to London town. So it doesn't matter if you fail, but if you fail, your life have a lot of blue lights. Your future may have a lot of blue lights in it. You better be sitting in the blue lights, being paid to be there. Because you don't want to be sitting there. The people who pay to be there as a person of interest to them. This is the truth that Trinidadians do not have. And the reason we are not fixing anything is because we do not have this conversation. But I know it. Colm Imbert knows it. Stuart Young, when my son was in St. Mary's College, Stuart Young's son was in St. Mary's College too. And we were both there at the opening day, and everybody, and Stuart Young was one of the people that was lecturing to the children in the Centenary Hall in St. Mary's College upstairs. And I remember listening to Stuart Young telling these children about how life goes if you're well educated. And it's a fact. But if you're well educated and rich, then you win. And if you're uneducated, but your parents have money, you still win. But I don't know where in this country, who is having these conversations with that security guard scrubbed back in life to 10 years old. I don't know who. And it's a damnable shame. In a country that had $3 trillion that came out of the ground for free. Like the rain falls on the country for free. The oil and gas that came out just add labor. It was free. And it belonged to all of us, including that little black boy who grew up to be a security guard. But because so many people are willing to sell their vote for $1,200 for today, they don't end up with a government that will make sure that there is a level play field. And while those with advantages will still have advantages, because that is the nature of advantages, you will be protected and you will have something like an opportunity too. And like the word opportunity, somebody said there's opportunity cost of voting, not just consequences. And that's a fact. That's an absolute fact. When you vote for the PNM in the ghetto, you vote a jail cell for your child. If you're black and you're in the ghetto and you vote for the PNM, you vote a possible bullet or a jail cell, but definitely a life of misery and suffering. Most of the people in the ghetto doing well, doing crime. If I lie, show me I wrong. And what you're going to show me is not the norm. You'll show me the exception. Because when Brian Lara became a multimillionaire, he didn't want to go and live in the beat-up. He became the Prince of Port of Spain overlooking the savannah. And we all know that everybody wants to escape voices from the ghetto. I play that song every night. I feel each word of that song. But I don't fit in to the politics. I won't come and bullshit you for one reason. It's the same reason my brother is on every talk show in America and every steps of every hall of justice and every court and every government that he could find to stand up and fight for the rights of the world, for people against the madness of Fauci and Gates and their one world order and the bullshit of the pandemic. My parents raised us to believe to whom much is given, much is expected. We couldn't get it. It was drilled into us as children. You have to succeed and you have to fight for others. You have to pull others along. We couldn't find a selfish motivation in our bodies if we tried. There is nobody. There is a guy who works for us at Victoria Foods Grab and Go. His name is Gerard Wims. Gerard, as one of his part-time jobs, he delivers the food. Along the way, he ended up delivering food to my mother, who, because we are Victoria Foods Grab and Go, they thought, well, I'm going to buy food, I might as well buy it from where Phillip involved. So Gerard, being the good and pleasant guy that he is, strikes up conversations with all the people he delivers food to. But more so, my mother, Because my mother has taken a liking to Gerard Wims. My mother and Gerard, now he met somebody who everything to her is charity. Everything to her is helping the world. My mother catch her ass her whole life. Her whole life. Her children are now all millionaires, and we can all take care of our mother many times over, and she still lives a humble life. My mother is the example to all of her children who have lives of service, because at this point in my mother's life, in her 70s, where she should be able to kick up her foot and have pedicures delivered to her house because her children are all successful and we are all still a close-knit family, my mother's focus is finding all the different ways to get involved and help poor people. So now Gerard, who is in Grab and Go, has found himself in a new charity organization with my mom, and he just collects stuff and he takes it to her, and whatever she collects and they distribute. And at 70, in her 70s, she probably on her way to 80. This is who we are. This is who I am. I can't pretend this for you. I can't stunt this for you. I don't like it. I tell you plain. I hate the fact that I can't be a selfish politician. I'm very gifted. I'm bright. I know how. You think I don't know how bright I am? You think I don't know my advantages? I make things happen. People tell me, they look at me in awe. The ease with which I could assimilate fact, deconstruct issues, create ideas, and make things happen out of whole cloth. I want to tell you, without any funding at all, we created a Progressive Empowerment Party, fought a national election, the third largest political party in the country for that election. And after losing that election, within 4 weeks, launched the Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago. In a year, the biggest activist organization in the country, and along the way, also established Victoria Foods, Grab and Go, all without funding of any kind. And Felicia Holder's job is to make sure, and now she has Joanne and Pat and others who work with her, and their job is just to keep track of every cent, of every dollar. They've milked us over $1 million in legal fees, fighting criminals who want to sue me into oblivion. And Felicia just keeps making magic and keeping an account of every cent. But I digress. Doing these things is who I am. And look at my family, and you'll understand why. My father was on the front page of a newspaper when the P&M was at its criminal height, and Eric Williams had police commissioners that had kill squads under them. I mean, Randolph Burrows was a famous murderer. That's what he was. He used to kill poor black people. But in a country where poor black people are expendable, Randolph Burrows became a hero. Because it's easy to say he poor and he black, and if the police kill him, he had to be a bandit. Eric Williams, at the height of his criminality, was challenged by a man named Lincoln Myers, who was not yet part of any National Alliance for Reconstruction. He was just a man, Lincoln Myers, and he fasted on the Hall of Justice steps. They could have lost him in jail. Eric Williams was a criminally corrupt and dictatorial son of a bitch. And they could have lost him in jail, or they could have had him murdered like they had Gene Miles murdered. Do you remember Gene Miles? The P&M murdered Gene Miles. And they could have murdered Lincoln Myers. But Lincoln Myers sat on the Hall of Justice steps for 40 days. And on a couple of those days, we come home from school. Daddy not home. Because Daddy is protecting Lincoln Myers. Close his store. We catch an ass. We's half-breed Syrian. We need every dollar we can get. Renting a house in Woodbrook. Close his store. And go and sit down. This is the stock that I come from. And sit down. To protect Lincoln Myers. He don't know how Lincoln doing what he doing, but he know that Lincoln needs support. So this Syrian man come out on the front page of the White People Guardian when the white people had owned the Guardian, sitting down there with Lincoln Myers. That's my father. So I am the stock of political idealists, strong warriors, and people who think charity is why we're here. We're not just here to receive, we're also here to give. My family believes the more you get, the more you share, not the more you stunt. You don't buy a bigger boat. You have to be a short man with a little dick to need a bigger boat in yacht club. You have to be a short man with a little tiny penis to keep buying bigger boats in yacht club as you get away with more and more criminality in this country. I want to see which 1% bastard willing to stand up in a court behind a lawyer and tell the judge, I think he was referring to me because I'm short and I would like to show you my penis. But I digress. When that security guard told me his convicted story that black people like things how they are, I asked him, do you know why the Sphinx does not have a nose? And I confused him. He said, no. I said, the Sphinx does not have a nose because the Sphinx had an African nose. And the oldest recorded history of modern man we have is ancient Egypt. And Egypt is an African state. And it is predominantly black people. And modern history, when in England and Ireland and Scotland, white people were living in caves as cannibals, black Africans in Egypt had science and fashion and invented mathematics and writing. The hieroglyphics that we see, but Hollywood has put Brad Pitt and Burt Reynolds and Robert Redford to act as the Egyptians. But the Egyptians were black. And you have to know that somewhere along the way, history changed. And somewhere along the way, black man gave up his role in the hierarchy of humanity. But to this poor security guard from the ghetto, because the ghetto is not just Beta, man. In West Moorings, a ghetto is across the road. In Victoria Gardens, a ghetto is across the road. Goodwood Gardens, outside wall, borders a ghetto that climbs a mountain that borders Goodwood Park. The top of Goodwood Park Hill, the most expensive real estate in Trinidad, you cross 6 inches and you're in ghetto. That's Trinidad and Tobago. So when I say ghetto, the only thing Boba Bita Blab until Silots, that is famous concentrated ghettofication. But that's not the only ghetto in Trinidad. Under Keith Rowley, Amory Brown, Ken Valley, Darrell, and now Jacka Simon the Nobringer, under Colm Imbert, the Diego Martins have been ghettofied. If you go up Paramin in Maraval, and there are places in Maraval that are very ghetto, but Diego Martin West, Keith Rowley's, and Diego Martin Central is the worst. Bagatelle, Rich Plain, Covine. I mean, people live in squalor and misery. I was the person who got water for Rich Plain. They never had. I digress. To this gentleman, who is now a security guard for Papi's freaking chicken, he thinks black people are how they are by choice. That they choose this. And they reinforce it. Hollywood normalizes the images of black people as bandits, black people in jail, black people in prison uniform, black people as slaves, black people talking in Toby B. Good Digger accents. Hollywood, they need to keep sending that message to black people through popular culture to know your place. So when you hear black people tell you that they've accepted this as their place, it's hundreds of years of conditioning. And it's in the last couple decades where you didn't have to go by somebody who had a record player. This is how my childhood was. You didn't have to go by somebody who had a record player, who had a record, and whoever record they had, that's where you listen to. Nowadays, you could have music on demand, on choice. I have 50,000 songs in my phone. My phone syncs with my car. When I go in my car, I am 55 years old. But in my lifetime, it went from picking up a tone arm and resting it on a record, whatever record all I had, and let that play. And like that, to me being able to choose whatever music I want to hear. And the music also reinforces a lot of these stereotypes. So to this little black boy who is now a security guard, you ever hear people talk to educated black people in the ghetto and tell them, oh, you're trying to talk white? They are so conditioned to believe that black must be uneducated and stupid that if you hear a black person speak educated, there are a lot of them who think Barack Obama pretending, you know, that's not his real voice. He hiding his blackness. There are a lot who believe that. And I've been repeatedly told that educated black people have to, it's like they have women who tell me, I have known women my entire life. I have had a friend, she was a brain surgeon. That's what she did for a living. And she said, she was single, and she said, when men were hitting on her, she had to tell them when they ask her what she does. She said manicures and pedicures. Because men not set up to accept bright women. And the same applies to intelligent black people who still in the ghetto, who have not yet escaped the ghetto. You have to ghettoify yourself. I tell people about this boy that works for me all the time, Levi. I worry for Levi. I wish I could extract Levi and drop him in an education system somewhere. Because I know a lot of people. I know how bright I am, and I think Levi could challenge me. I have yet to meet somebody whose brain works faster than this little hard-working black laborer. And he's a little black laborer. And he's been working with me since he's 16 years old. And he's figured shit out in this world. And he's given himself, without being able to go and do any courses and get any degrees, he could do just about anything. He understands basic engineering just from being on job sites. I kid you not. He figures stuff out. When he's on a development site, and this has been how he grew up with us, and the electrician is there, he would choose who he working with for the next couple of weeks, and he worked with the electricians, and he worked with the steel benders, and he worked with the masons, and he worked with the carpenters, and he understands what they do and why they do what they do, and how their tools work, and he could install air conditioned units, and he could service air conditioned units, and there's nothing on a job site that he can't do. But he should be a doctor or a scientist. The boy's brain, I'm not lying to tell you, another boy who was bright, not as bright as Levi, but bright, was Akko. Akko was bright. Akko, you could see Akko's face used to look like a baby. When you see a baby taken in, Akko was like that. When he was in a place, he was taking in everything. But for poor black people in Trinidad and Tobago, it's only crime you leave to advance. You're in the ghetto, you live in Kokorit, you're not advancing with a massive job. You're not coming out. They're not hiring you. They're not hiring you if that is your dress water hole. They're not. And Akko's body was just found burnt to death with 2 others. Because he was doing whatever little crime he was doing. And it's sad. It's sad to me. And I'm not black enough. I'm not black enough to have this conversation. Fitzgerald Hines, who would paint himself white to be massa if he could, would tell me I'm not black enough. That is a man with an identity crisis. But will tell me I'm not black enough to talk to black people about black issues. Because for people like Fitzgerald Hines, I am a threat. When we were young, people used to tell me, I was like the free slave, but coming back to tell people there's life outside. There's something beyond master plantation. I know this conversation is not what you want to be hearing from your politician, but my country cannot fix, as long as this continues to be our reality, the cycle of people who believe that to be black means to be stupid and to be poor and to be this, as far as I'm supposed to go. James Allen said, I will never forget, the day I read this, it was like a cuff in my face. When James Allen said, because I tell people, read as a man thinketh. If you do nothing else, if you take nothing else from me, there are 3 books to read. The Prophet by Khalil Gibran, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, and How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Those 3 books are the highest education that you will get outside of university. Read those books, because if you read it to understand and you drill it, and trust me, I know those books word for word and could recite chapters. I read over and over. I found word books and listened to them, and audiobooks and listened to them, because the information, you want the information to dislodge. In the movie $1 Million Baby, Clint Eastwood told Morgan Freeman that the hardest part of training a new boxer is getting them to unlearn everything they knew before. That's the hardest part. Before you could teach them what you want to teach them, you have to get them to unlearn all the beliefs that they had before. And that's how you have to educate yourself. Because I had long-held beliefs. And I had long-held beliefs that stunted me and kept me in a certain place, because I believed that this is who I was and this is all I could be. And by re-educating myself from the miseducation of my life, I came to a place of understanding that there was nothing I could not be. And since then, I have proven that time and time again in all my pursuits. My life, my public life, Jericho Project, Citizens Union, Progressive Empowerment Party, those things I hold with a certain amount of pride. But my business life and what I've learned and what I've done, I remember there was a time, I remember Gordon Gonzalez told me, his partner Jimmy Fifi, when Gordon and I was going into our business in the year 2001, Jimmy Fifi referred to me to Gordon as bound to bust Phillip Alexander. And that hurt. It hurt, because it's true. I've been ambitious my whole life, and everything I ever touched, bust. Because I didn't have the education, and I didn't have the money, and I didn't have the connections. I couldn't do like some of these fellas. They open a restaurant today, it failed, close it down, burn it down, break it down, build a new one. I didn't have that. I had to fight and try and make magic with whatever I had. And I used to bust, bound to bust. When Gordon Gonzalez, who's a man, the entire Gonzalez family became like family to me. But Gordon Gonzalez, I think, is one of the best humans I have ever met. And every time I thought I knew how good and strong a man he was, it was blown away by the man he showed me he was when his son Kyle died tragically, drowned in Blanchishes. And I thought, this will break him. And Gordon found a way through that. When Gordon told me that, and I met Jimmy Fifi years after politically in the Congress of the People, and we ended up on similar tracks going forward politically, and we used to talk, and he never knew that I knew that his reference to me, of me, as bound to bust, was a pivot in my life. It was a turning point in my life. And that business that we started, Gordon and I, then went on for 25 years and made millions of dollars and was the most successful web company in this country's history, created the Caribbean online Yellow Pages. It brought more people to the Caribbean than anybody else ever did. At a time when companies didn't know what a website was, we were getting 1 million hits a month, and it was massive, and it was successful, and it raised my children, and it paid for a good life for me. And every time I thought that things was getting tough and things was getting difficult and I didn't know what to do, I remember Gordon telling me that his friend Jimmy thought of me as bound to bust Phillip Alexander, and the old Caribbean online Yellow Pages still exist. People still find 1 million hits a month, still. The year 2000, 2001, I can't remember, it was 2000, 2001. But then to now, it's 21 years, and it still is the most used one for a long time. It was before Google, it was before Facebook, and when we were selling online advertising, business people, Republic Bank had no website, Angostura, I built all of their first websites, and it went on to be a big company, and we hired the best developers, and for a long time we were Edu's Welding and Omar Dean School of Accounting and Gopal Land Superstores, and I just thinking of all massive companies and big companies that we were responsible. That bank managing directors who I held their email address password so they could call me on the phone in case they forgot it or got locked out. We were huge, and wait not for that. Wait not for Jimmy saying bound to bust, because it propelled me not to fail again. And I found this book, As a Man Thinketh, and there's a line in that book where he says, no man can rise higher than his opinion of himself. And that was the pivot I was looking for. Because from that moment, I wanted to change who I was by changing my estimation of who I was. I removed the cap. I removed the limits. I could be anything. I could educate myself in any direction. I'm not talking education. I'm not talking about these online one-year degrees from Australia so you could say as a master. There are plenty of people with masters in this country who have no working knowledge of the thing they have a master's in, you know. Education has become another thing to be sold for profit. You cannot go and get a master's in a discipline that you've not spent at least 10 years. It used to require 10 years of practical experience, that you had to know this, you had to feel it, touch it, experience it, work it, you had to know it by rote before you could then go on to achieve the title of master of the discipline. Now they have universities advertising on TV that you could just go and do a master's, and there are plenty in politics that will tell you that they are masters in this and masters in that. Yeah? Tell me, how did you become a master? And I could tell you, because I could show you my work, and I could show you all the things I bust at. I could show you all the things I failed at. And my life is a graveyard of failures. And the moment I started, and then I went and did 10 years of therapy, counseling. That's very important. And it's important for everybody because it helps you understand there is no greater gift you could give yourself. All of us are dysfunctional in some way. We all stunted, we all broken. The objective, the ideal is to become fully functional before you die. That's the work, that's the job, that's the goal. And you can check yourself and see all the things that you do. And the most basic psychologist can watch you and what you give your life to and what you do with your life and can tell you what your addiction is and in 2-3 sessions could tell you what that addiction is you're trying to hide from. You're trying to escape through an addiction. And it is not just drugs. Or it's not just food. Work, money, hoarding. Some of these people, I used to feel sorry for Anthony Sabga, fellas like them. Work till they're dead. Hard work till they're dead. Ram Kapalani. If you don't have balance, but there's a whole other story. But I'm just saying, therapy, and there's no age that's too old. There's no age that's too old for you to get to know who you are. Get to know yourself. You're not the dysfunctional relationships you've had with your parents or your siblings or the horrible childhood that you escaped or the abuse. Do you know more than 50% of the women in Trinidad and Tobago have been sexually abused as minors? Do you know 5 out of 10 women that you know have been touched sexually as minors, violated? Many of them carry that with them. Some of them violently, some of them raped, and many of them just carry that with them, not knowing that they could let that burden down with therapy. A lot of them blame themselves, a lot of them blame their parents or blame the situation, and they don't know how to process. And that's the word you're looking for. Processing the hurt. There's a therapist on YouTube, and you could, after this show, if you're really interested in this kind of stuff, his name is John Bradshaw, and he does series on something called the stunted child. And at the point of violation, and if parents knew this, they'd never violate the child, frighten the child, argue, hurt, break. It stunts the development, the mental development. You grow up big, but you're still a child. I remember watching in How I Met Your Mother when Barney, his character, is a sexaholic. He just wants to have sex with everybody. And I remember the episode where he found out why he was like that. And it was moving to watch somebody come to terms with the driver of their mind. Who am I? Why do I do the things I do? And I thought of all of this. And that's why I do this video, because I wasn't going to do a video tonight, but I've been ruminating on this black guy, the security guard in Papi's Freaking Chicken, who everybody's going to go and tell him tomorrow. He was starring in a video last night. And I'm not meaning to disrespect him at all, because he was so eloquent and so well spoken and so professional in his limited job. His job was to open that door. But that man opened that door each and every time. Like, that is what he was born for. And I think to myself, if this man was given a chance at development, what he could have been. If Barack Obama was born in Trinidad and Tobago, he'd have ended up parking cars outside Zen 10 to 1. Because he came from poverty. But we have politicians who are raping the people of Trinidad and Tobago politically. And they know. They know that they are failures at life. They have money. But they know they've stolen it. When they reflect on it, everybody knows the crimes they do, All of us have done wrong. All of us. All. Each and every. Even Jesus Christ did wrong while he was alive. No, Phillip, he was unblemished. No, that's not true. Jesus lost his temper in the temple. There's one example. We know 2 examples where he lost his temper. So he was obviously a passionate guy. And he lost his temper with a tree. He went to a tree to pick a fig, and it had no figs. And he cursed the tree, and the tree withered and died. Now, you can't have that kind of power and throw a tantrum and kill a tree because it didn't have any figs. That's Jesus Christ. And the Jesus in the temple. And I just say that all of us know the things that we've done wrong. All of us look in the mirror. All of us hear that quiet voice. All of us look and we see, when we watch and we think, we remember the corner that we cut. We try to tell our story and we try to rewrite history. And the reason most of us change, friends, as our conditions change, is because we don't want echoes. We don't want reflections in the mirror. We want to create new legends. There are plenty of rich Syrians that forget how barefoot and hungry felt. I went to school with the Haddad family who owned Hadco. I know how poor they were. The mother used to come and pick them up in a big old Belmont car that was falling apart. I remember. We had the Moses family move out of a 2x4 house on Anna Street. I remember we were poor too. And everybody, some people forget where they come from. There are others who pretend that their wealth is success, and they forget that they inherited crime, that their father was a criminal, even though he was never caught and never convicted in a country where the police service has not been set up to deal with fraud, corruption, and white-collar crime, so that those at the highest level in the secret societies that meet the plan how to build these little children in the orphanages, they made sure that the laws that are written and enforced in this country are not laws that could target them. Little black hen chicken, police could run them down. And you could count 67% increase and 21% decrease, and we did 99% in this. But it's all bullshit law enforcement. It's all bullshit law enforcement because you're enforcing law against people who poor and making stupid decisions because the education system failing them and society has not been kind to them and social development has not created a master plan that could go into these communities and explain to them that mommy and daddy had it hard, but you could have it better. Let's work together. No, the government and the politicians prefer to thief the money and then go and stunt in president's house and carnival party and get drunk and pretend that being a high-class white-collar bandit is success. There are cocaine barons in this country who believe that that was hard work. When Karen Nunes, the sheriff, spoke, Robert Sabler, Judith Jones, what these people did was, they didn't pull it all the way back, but they pulled back the illusion of Trinidad and Tobago that I have been talking about for years. And the bullshit laws, the police service know that they're enforcing bullshit laws, and they tell you, Phil, it's how it's set up. So unless somebody like you get into office and change it so it make it possible so that we can pull the threads and pull down the drug barons, because they know. It's police, some of them know that police colleagues get hired to put on hits and put on work, and Clint Huggins in the Dole Cheney trial told them that he was a SRP, a special reserve policeman, and Dole Cheney used to use his police car to move the drugs. Clint Huggins, Dole Cheney. And the whole story tonight, while I was ruminating on the conversation I had while waiting for my chicken at Pappy's freaking Chicken with this security guard, I didn't think I had a live video. I wanted to, this evening, I spent the day with Stefan Reese. You all know Stefan Reese having a cruise. Please, buy tickets to Stefan's cruise. Stefan is one of the best, is another one of the best human beings I know. And Stefan needs to be supported. Anyway, we have a big plan for Stefan, and we're going to help Stefan plenty because he's a good man and he stays loyal and committed to shit that's not loyal and committed to him. But that's a whole other conversation. That's his life, and I apologize, Stefan, for saying that. But Stefan needs your assistance because these crews that he does is to offset the costs of trying to make a life as a good and decent person. And his cruise is Forbidden Pleasures too. And I understand that besides being an excellent talk show host, he's a very good promoter. We have tickets on sale for his cruise at Victoria Foods Grab and Go. Please come and buy, even if you don't want to go to the cruise. But if you want to go to the cruise, I promise Stefan, I come into Forbidden Pleasures too. I'm not wearing beachwear because I really don't have beachwear, and my legs, as brown as my face is, my legs white. And I'm not, so I will, but I'm going to the cruise and I'm going to Forbidden Pleasures too. So come and line with us and come and buy the tickets. And if you don't want to go to the cruise, but you just want to spend the $200 to give Stefan a sale, please, Victoria Foods Grab and Go. And you could call Felicia Hole at 7694590 and tell Felicia I want to buy 10 of Stefan's tickets just to help Stefan and send the money. Because he's good people. Anyway, I spent the day with Stefan today, and when I spend the day with Stefan and Felicia and Satish, and we talk so much today, and Lima, I didn't get a chance to spend the amount of time I spent with Lima, my deputy political leader, that I spent today. I'm going to spend that much time with people like them as be eager to come home and do a video, and then I had this conversation in Papi's freaking chicken, and it depressed me because it's not the first black person that I look at and see such a good human, such a hardworking. When you watch he's conditioned himself to accept the shackles of his life, and that his job is to open that door. And my God, I watched him each time. I can remember the door handle, the passion he put into the greeting to everybody that came into Papi's freaking chicken is not worth the potential of that man. He is not paid to the value, but life has been unkind and it's shackled him to that point. And it frustrated me because it's a cycle. It's going to keep repeating itself unless somebody breaks it. And then somebody sent me a WhatsApp of Sparrow singing Good Citizen, which was a song that I opened this video with. Good Citizen, Sparrow. And these architects of corruption that have destroyed the democracy and created economic slavery have been with us since Eric Williams first pissed on Trinidad and Tobago. And if I could ever travel in a time machine, I'd go back in time and give Eric Williams' father a condom, so that son of a bitch could never be born. But I digress. Good Citizen made me want to come and fight a little bit more. And I want to tell that security guard in Papi's freaking chicken, sir, I may never see you again in life, but I respect you and I respect your views, but I understand your condition as I understand your position. And I hope that our crossing paths, because the reason I am who I am because of paths that I've crossed, people have crossed. You are who you are until life, if you're lucky, will send people who will shift you in your worldview. Graham Gonzalez, I come to know Gordon Gonzalez because I met Graham Gonzalez when I went to Living Water Community, when I met Jason Gordon, who was not yet a priest, much less contemplating being an archbishop. And I went to Living Water Community and I did a Life in the Spirit seminar because it meant the world to my mother, and I didn't believe and I didn't care. And I was 19 and I was living a wild and young life, and a young and wild life, and I knew I was keeping my mother up at night. And so I agreed to go, and the guy they broke us out into sessions. We're doing this seminar, and the guy in charge of my group is a fellow by the name of Graham Gonzalez, this elderly white man. And I thought to myself, boy, I go in and frustrate you. You think you're going to convert me? By the time I'm done, you give up your religion. And every week of that seminar, every Wednesday night, I went to that Living Water Archbishop House seminar to frustrate this man. And this man, Graham Gonzalez, took all of it, and it's like he understood. And one thing led to another, became friends with the whole family. I'm still very good friends with the whole family. Graham passed away last year, God rest his soul. And I met his whole family. I was 19 years old when I met them. Good, decent, nice people. And I'm hoping that as I go through life, I'm hoping that I create enough of those moments, if I could. I mean, if you're blessed with one, if you can save one life, that your life is a life well lived. And I'm hoping that I could save as many people as I could. I don't want more money. I have had plenty money. I've been on top. I've had people blow smoke up my ass just to be near me. And for a while that's heady until intelligent people can't take that for long, you know. You want substance in life. You want your life to count for something, and you want to measure. You want to measure the road that you walk by how many things you've succeeded at, how many things you've changed, how many impacts you've made. And I'm at a good place. I'm fighting a lot of demons. And it's not an easy road. It's one that I could walk away from. My son is in Europe. He's touring Europe, living my life. He knew that I wanted to go to all the ancient alien sites and see all the different things over. He's sending me pictures of Stonehenge and the Acropolis, and he laughing at me because he said, you know, you could be here with me. And I will, before I shuffle off this mortal coil, I will make a tour like that with my son. But he knows. And I'm saying that this is a life that I can walk away from. You could have a Gary Griffith Prime Minister, you can have a Watson Duke, you can have a Keith Rowley, a Kamala Prasad, or anybody else that come along. Is your choice. But I want to tell you this. I am an asshole of known quantity. You know me. Everybody who deals with me could tell you. A bright, a powerful, a courageous, a intelligent, a forceful. I want things to succeed, but they'll tell you also this. This they'll tell you. I am down to earth, and I don't have much layers. The Phillip Edward Alexander that you meet is the only person that I am. When people ask me, if you become Prime Minister, don't change. Change into what? What could I want? When I watch Keith Rowley in his old age, must he struggling to piss every time he pull his dick out his pants with his tight pants and his pointy shoes. And I'm thinking, these little jackasses who don't get it. They don't get it. Faris must be having a 9-pack, not a 6-pack. Gone to film. He copying me, and I see people say, look your boy trying to be you. Faris gone to film people selling doubles in Sahida and he playing down to earth. And he filming the people and he saying, you could come and buy this or you come and buy that. And he's showing you what in the box. But he can't eat a Palori. He can't eat a Sahina. Because that 3% body fat son of a bitch, if he put on weight, he might kill himself. His identity is wrapped around his physical appearance. And if he can't work out in the gym and go and have his hair dyed and his face paws stretched, he gonna die. And yet these people I feel sorry for. Because at this age of their lives with grown children, Keith Rowley have grandchildren. And he dressing like he ready to go 51 degrees. He's a grandfather. He should be an elder statesman. He should be carrying himself, instead of looking for other little girls to pips, he should be looking to leave a legacy. And pick something. Pick something and change that. Change, you know, I spent so much time behind the homeless and the disabled and the orphans. The Jericho Project changed lives for those groups of people. And it's not enough. It's absolutely not enough. And I always knew that if I got political power by the stroke of a pen, we wrote something called the Second Chance Foundation, myself, Candace Aking, and others, and we went and we handed it to Kamala Prasad in 2012. She and Glenn Ramadas Singh, when the government was still in the Red House, and took pictures and all kind of bullshit. And they never did anything. They never did anything. And I know that if given political power, if given the opportunity, I could fix those things, all of those things, because everything could fix. It's not that I'm brighter than everybody else, I just bright. But I think that there are a lot of bright people. I know I'm right. Even my haters will tell you, he's an asshole, but he's bright. There are few could solve shit like him. That's my gift. God gave me that. I have to work with that. And to whom much is given, much is expected. I've done more live videos, educating, empowering, and informing. I've done more video conversation with the people of Trinidad and Tobago than all politicians combined. All of them. All. Every single one. I've had more video interface with more people than all politicians combined. How you like them apples? And I've spent my life, my adult life, trying to make this a better country for my son and now my 2 children, and yours by extension. And we've said that the unwritten social contract is the first half of your life, enjoy the world. The second half of your life, try to make it, try to leave it better than you met it. I hope and I pray that if this is what I am supposed to do, that I do it well. I don't know where it goes from here, if it goes any further than here. It could be this was the job, and I'm happy. I hope and pray that the people of my country could wake up to the reality of all the constraints and all the shackles and all the nonsense that have been put on them, and shake it off. Come to me. Everything that I have, I will give you for free. All of my knowledge, I will give you for free. All of my intervention. People know I've done more without holding public office than any politician alive. And I will give you for free. Every Saturday at noon, we are at 14 to 17 Park Street, Victoria Square. Come tomorrow. Come tomorrow at noon. Come and spend time and meet the team and bask in something good and decent. People of ethics and integrity. There is still hope in Trinidad and Tobago. It's colored orange, and it's the Progressive Empowerment Party, and it is made and led by people for people, and the people that are the ones that stay and build it are the people that care about people. We have a new member. Her name is Sahai De Silva. She's in charge of our donations. And if you want to make a donation after hearing me talk tonight, $10, $50, $100,000, call Sahai at 374-8747. There is a guy who has been trying to give me $1 billion for the past couple of years. And while I think it is an insanity to consider that somebody might give me $1 billion, just in case he's not, we're there with him and working with him. But we don't need you to find $1 billion to give us. You can give us $100. Call Sahai at 374-8747, or you could call Felicia Hall at 769-4950. Noon meeting at PEP headquarters, and that's it. Imagine, Philip, I see in you on a day-to-day basis begging people for you to fix Trinidad, and people just continue their daily lives acting like nothing is broken. I only looking for all kind of opportunities to say, hey, Philip is the man with the plan, and his only jackass talk about, oh, he's half Syrian. Them for effing real. But I want to say that the God of the Bible, of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the God that closed the mouths of the lions for Daniel, that God, to believe in a God of that kind of power, that real God, I believe, sets things in motion that are unbelievable. Just recently, we had a massive victory, and I will explain you all the massive legal victory we had just the other day. And I had to speak to a friend. I have a friend, her name is Nadine, and I was telling her she's a lawyer, and I said to Nadine, I said, you know, it had gotten to the point where you were certain it was lost. It was just for a matter of time, and it was lost, and it was going to be devastating. And out of that came the most unbelievable victory. And if that's not God showing you that he could take a half Syrian like me to change the lives of poor black people in this country, it could be that I say to you all the time, I tell people all the time, I say, I don't have to be Christ. I can be John the Baptist, and I cool with that. That's a good enough life. I could be the one saying something better is coming. I don't have to be the better. But I believe in a power that builds bridges where there are none and opens doors where there are only walls. And I believe in that because I've seen it for my life. I don't know what you've seen, what you've experienced, and I won't evangelize to you. So to my friend who asking me if they're for effing real, there are people who are walking with me now, who are literally walking alongside me as part of my team that used to hate me. So I want to say that I stopped questioning God's plan. If it is God's plan that this happens, nothing could stop it. And if it is not God's plan, nothing I could do could change it. So we just going to continue walking along, basking in the glory of knowing that what is to be will be, and only that will be. catastrophe. If they cannot move, and you see it so, then your only hope is for them to move. And that's the truth. That is the inescapable truth of our reality. The government has failed. They has failed, and they have failed all of you, individually and collectively. The government has failed. The opposition couldn't be more comatose if they tried. The opposition is on barely alive, and they will make their little meetings, and they will make their little releases, and they will make their little challenges to the government, but nothing in the politics is as vibrant as what's happening in the Progressive Empowerment Party. Gary Griffith coming along with the NTA and Watson Duke walking around with bread and things is nice, it's adding to the thing, but the truth of the matter is there's only one political movement that is growing and that is giving people hope and something to believe in. I want to tell you this, this is my truth. When I knew that Watson Duke was coming to Trinidad, and I know that they had a war chest of money, and I know that Gary was coming, and he wasn't coming to join us, and he was going to form his own party, I thought, well, that's it. I thought that's a death blow. I thought we came a long way, we tried our best, but we can't fight that. And seeing the kind of 1% support and thing they had, you know, that then people could fart $100 million and it don't affect them. $100,000 will change our reality. But anyway, I thought it would suck all of the oxygen out of the Progressive Empowerment Party. Watson Duke and Gary Griffith has increased the popularity of the Progressive Empowerment Party. God alone knows how. We've gotten bigger numbers than ever before. On media posts that I used to get 200 likes, I get 500 likes. And on posts that I would get 500 likes, today we got 1,800. Our viewership gone up, crossed the million mark. Our donations are up, and it's up every day. Our membership sign-ups through the roof for both Progressive Empowerment Party and Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago. And we are getting a lot of good people who were with us in the past coming back and having visited all the other alternatives that came along over the years and seeing it for what they are and knowing what we were. People who come back after that tells me that we're doing something right. And I really am certain that the mission has to be seen through to the end. For whatever it is, wherever it's supposed to go, you have my full commitment. And I know that I could speak for Felicia Holder, Sean Sinera, and Satish Ramsar, and people like, and I could speak for them, and I could tell you that we going down to the end. And we have other good people, Joan and Anthony Sinera, Anthony Xavier, Lima McLeod Wilkinson. I mean, we have members like Hadassah Charles McLeod, who is a stable, strong voice in the party. David Welch, our newest member, is already head of the youth arm. We have Precious Cruikshank doing marvelous work. It's such impressive. I'm filled with such pride watching the work that David and Precious are doing, youth arm and women's arm. And when the people that you need, when it's time for them, they show up. We couldn't have planned for Sahai the Silver. Sahai came and she learned the ropes and she took over a major responsibility from Felicia. And we tell people this all the time. If somebody comes and they free us up by taking off our responsibility from us, it frees us up so that we can do more work and do better and grow bigger and make it better. Tomorrow at noon, if you have the time, come to Victoria Foods Grab and Go. The meeting is there. Come and meet team members. Come and see what it's about. Come and question us. We had a meeting with some very wealthy people this week who wanted to meet us to ask questions. And the family promised that the reason they wanted to ask questions is because they want to gather other good and decent wealthy people together to help and support us. But they wanted to do a fact-finding to see what we're about, because everybody's telling everybody. Listen to Phillip Alexander. He's the only politician making sense. So they're listening and they're listening. but they want to meet you in person. They want to literally break bread with you and see who you are. So we went and we had, and it was a very successful meeting. And I look forward to bringing those people on board, because I don't want you to ever think, the fact that I go against people in the contract mafia, I don't want you to think that I have any against people having financial success. I am all for that. And I think that everybody in this country should live a good life, just not at the expense of each other. If you would like to get more information about joining the party, please reach out to Satish Ramsaran, 7968-172. My assistance number is 719-2888 for the people who want meetings and that sort of stuff. Reach out to Indira, 719-2888. To join the Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago, 486-2888. And I think that's it for tonight. Until I see you tomorrow, stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.